The alignment with stakeholders inside your organisation, as well as making sure that you're tightly aligned to business goals and thinking about everything from a customer perspective. We've spoken about the importance of really good quality content. Let's talk a bit about the most effective channels that drive the greatest levels of inbound success for you. And I also want to bring in at this point the impact of technology. So where do you think technology is going to drive change from an inbound perspective over the next year, 2 years, 5 years or longer?
Well, maybe to start with the obvious one, for most of the B2B marketeers, LinkedIn is a fantastic channel to drive in inbound marketing. But to straight away latch on that technology topic, when you think about how the algorithm works at LinkedIn, that the more you comment and provide just sort of, even if it's nonsense comment, the more quantity comment you provide, the higher you rank. I think it's a relatively dangerous development because it motivates and incentivizes people active on LinkedIn for the very wrong reason. And we need to be careful that LinkedIn doesn't get relegated to sort of, show funny videos and make funny comments channel, because then the importance for a viable information channel, clutter-free information channel, will go down. We've seen this with Twitter. Of course, we've got very active people using Twitter, and that's why Twitter's in everybody's mind. But I have seen clearly over the journey that we in Deutsche Bank in our business line have done with Twitter, that we have already seen a peak, and it's going to a plateau where I don't know whether we're heading down or not, because at conferences, super relevant to share straight away there and then content. But imagine the avalanche of news that are created all the time. If that channel is overcrowded, people tend to move away from it.
And I think when you talk about channels and you think about something like LinkedIn, we use LinkedIn a lot and it's good for engagement, but like you said, there is so much information and we're relying on the end user to sift through it all and think what's relevant, what's not. So from a channel perspective, we still find the face-to-face events are the really big drivers for us. Now you have to obviously build everything up before those and you have to continue the journey after those, but those are the face-to-face. There doesn't really at the moment seem to be anything that has overtaken that.
Yeah,
That's interesting, yeah.
For someone who, I live and breathe data performance, social PPC, programmatic stuff, actually it is events that for our clients are still one of the most important things we do, and whether that is what they do on the ground and then how we connect that to our digital channels in terms of the conversations, whether it is through Twitter and topic targeting, or whether it's through LinkedIn and making sure that we're taking the content post-event, or even just geo-targeting the event with outbound marketing, or doing some proximity out of home and connecting that. We find that the way people lean into the conversation in events, the fact that they're focused on that particular topic at that particular time, to your point about having to screen out LinkedIn stuff, I think is a really valuable thing, and wherever we can link that with retargeting and taking customer details from events, matching that first party data, then pushing it through LinkedIn advertising, that provides the best results for us. So actually, despite the fact that my job is 90% social media and stuff, we actually are more and more looking at events as the key driver of that kind of intent and information.
Yeah, there's no doubt events are, I agree with you. I mean, as a kind of a surge of activity, I think good planning around an event is almost like nothing better. We definitely see, social channels as crucial search. These are the two kind of big ones, and I think often combined with event activity as well. And it's almost like that, I wonder whether in the end, people are choosing to participate, whether it's on LinkedIn or in certain communities and the rest of it. We've built up a pretty substantial customer advocacy community, people who've lent in and want to be involved and learn from each other, as well as participate with things for Cisco. And actually, ironically, events are quite often the big recruitment fairs, if you like, for where people love what they're seeing at the event and then want to get involved more. And I wonder whether in terms of where this is going, I think maybe fewer better events that are better integrated and more powerful and create more of a surge. But then the customers who are acting out in the communities that are really of interest to them and give them value it's actually about how we meet them where they are. right? And then how they then come to us because they've had good experiences in their communities and in their
And I guess as well, where does an event play in on the customer journey? Because a good inbound strategy is going to consider what stage is the customer at in their dialogue and engagement with you, and therefore what content are you serving to them, and where does an event become the best way to deliver that content or that experience that makes them leave with an empathetic relationship having been developed with you.
And you make a super salient point, David, because an event, of course, you have the two main pillars of the direct marketing and the digital marketing. And the event has the added value that you really have got more face time, longer face time, because usually when you do digital, breakup rates are around 2 minutes. We're writing shorter stuff, and sometimes white papers are used to be a thought leadership document that people just keep, but don't necessarily read from cover to cover. At an event, we've got your 1 hour, your 2 hour airtime, where you can carefully play the edutainment game. You educate somebody on something, but you still entertain them. You create a personal rapport, and that's why you're absolutely right. And I would say also resist the temptation not to do too many events. It's like inviting you every weekend to a dinner party. Then the value of the dinner party goes down. So dose it. Therefore, you need to know where you are. And the digital gives us a fantastic tool for the pre-event marketing, the post-event marketing. Never ever before did we have so much rich data.
But I would add in the during event as well, because if you look at, some of our biggest shows, right, Cisco Live in EMEA, we attract around 15,000, 16,000 people come to that. We have about 80,000 people online with us at the same time, right? So because not everyone can travel to the event, but the kind of catalyzing experience of the event and the opportunity that is where news is going to be broken, some specialist engineers will be on hand, and even in the event itself, if you've shown up, you're participating in virtual communities as well, and finding each other and making connections while you're there. And this is like the perfect blend, I think, of digital and physical coming together is the event experience, fully blown out to where it can be.
And that's where technology comes into play a little bit as well. So if I think about some of our events, so we have slightly smaller customer base, so there'd be anything from maybe 35 people if in a really targeted event up to a couple of hundred. And then you can use things like apps and real-time voting, and you can put the technology questions to people and other people can answer them. And as you say, you start then getting the community going.
And things like if you have a demonstration hall, you can have sensors around a hall so that you can track where people go and deliver content to them via their smartphones or apps at the time at which they leave that stand. So I think technology's got an enormous role to play in future.